Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to another session of the 40 Arba'een, the 40 Hadith of Imam Nawawi. Today we're going to have a look at Hadith number 13. This Hadith is titled, Love for your brother, what you love for yourself. عن أبي حمزة أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه خادم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه رواه البخاري والمسلم. Anas ibn Malik was the servant of Rasulullah. It's an honorific title, and that's how he's introduced in this hadith. The English is on the authority of Abu Hamzah Anas bin Malik, the servant of the Messenger of Allah from the Prophet, peace be upon him, who said, none of you truly believes until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. This hadith is considered a quarter of the religion, as in the etiquette of Islam within the religion of Islam. The others being the hadith by Rasulullah, which is don't get angry, whoever believes in Allah and the last day, let him speak good or remain silent. And from the beauty of a person's Islam is to leave what doesn't concern him. If you memorize these four hadith, you are firmly within the bracket of the etiquettes, the totality of etiquettes of Islam, if you understand these in their depth. So to commence, none of you truly believes. Does that mean that if I don't love for my brother what I don't love for myself, that I'm not a Muslim? No, it doesn't mean this. It means none of you truly believe. It's a rhetorical device. It's a way of showing importance, a way of making your ears awaken to what's this? I don't believe unless I do this. So it wakes you. It makes you understand that the love for your brother, more than what you the same way that you love things for yourself, is conditioned with none of you truly believe, i.e. both ways. So this hadith is like a serious reprimand. So this hadith is a rhetorical advice. It makes you understand that your Islam is the wholesomeness, the completeness of your Islam is conditioned on you loving for your brother what you love for yourself. In other words, you can have Islam, you can have Iman just by saying La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You have Iman. If you never were to do anything else, you would have Iman. But your Iman, by way of actions and by way of Iman manifest in life, is seriously deficient. You've just got belief in your heart. That's it. If you want the manifestation of your Iman to be complete, if you want to present a beautiful picture to everybody and say, this is my Islam, then none of you truly believe unless you love for your brother what you love for yourself. Now this, for many people, especially depending on your background and how you've grown up and in which societies you've grown up, is an incredibly difficult thing to do. People who have grown up in an environment where these values have been fostered, it's very easy to do this for the most part until you get into competitive edges in your career or your life or other things. This is known as the golden rule. The golden rule is something that's universally known and accepted by the whole world, i.e. every single culture and religion on planet Earth has a golden rule, which is to love for your brother what you love for yourself. So this is something that's universally known. It's universally known, but it's not always easy to do. And for a Muslim, if it's not easy for you to do, then your Islam isn't complete. You need to be able to master this for the completion of your Islam. Likewise, you will find other hadith like this, where Umar came to Rasulullah and said, I love you more, Ya Rasulullah, I love you more than everything except for what's between my two sides. And Rasulullah said that your Iman isn't complete. Then it hit him and he said, oh Rasulullah, bear witness that I love you more than even myself, even what's between my sides. Now, O Umar, Rasulullah said, meaning now you have complete Iman. So loving the Rasul is a condition for the completeness of your Iman. Having love for the humanity is a condition for the soundness of your Islam. As I just said, Islam is more than the Shahada, it's a way lived. At the core of Islam is submission and love. You submit to your Lord and do everything that He ordered you to do, and to stay away from everything He told you to stay away from. Imam Nawawi says that it's better here to understand this as the loving for your brother that's mentioned here means your brother in humanity. So it doesn't just encompass Muslims, it encompasses non-Muslims as well. We are all brothers in humanity, whether we believe or not, that yes, there is an Islamic brotherhood and then there is a universal brotherhood. To love for your brother means to love for the non-Muslims, and it also means wishing for them what you wish for yourself. What's the greatest wish and hope that you have for your non-Muslim brother? Is for him to embrace Islam. So you would do anything, you would go out of your way to make sure that that wish comes true, which means approaching him in a beautiful manner, being more patient with him in times of where he's being oppressive to you, or where you're being bullied by a non-Muslim, wherever that may be, showing him good manners, going out of your way to feed him, going out of your way to ask about him, to look after him. These are all, you're going to be opening channels for him to be more receptive towards Islam. And the end goal is what? Of course you want to wish well for him, as in save him from the hellfire, but you're also looking at your own iman. It's not just about him. Of course it's about him, but it's also about you, in the sense that you want to perfect and complete your iman also. Didn't Rasulullah wish for the non-Muslims? Did he not pray for the non-Muslims all the time to become Muslims? Quraysh, his own family, and Quraysh and everybody. Did he not specifically ask Allah, oh Allah, give me Abu Jahl, or give me Umar? Abu Jahl didn't accept Islam, and now he's the most cursed person in the Ummah. And Umar accepted Islam, and now he's one of the most loved people in Islam. So this is the evidence here that you wish for others what you wish for yourself. You pray for them and you ask Allah to guide them. That's why we don't immediately, like in times of tribulation and war, we don't wish, oh Allah, destroy them. Oh Allah, destroy our oppressors, the non-Muslims. In the first instance you say, oh Allah, guide them towards Islam. And then your secondary dua is, oh Allah, if you don't want to guide them, then remove them from our path, destroy them, weaken them, and scatter them. But you pray for their guidance. There's no harm in praying for their guidance. Another example is the care. Look how easy it is for a mother to sacrifice and a father to sacrifice for their children. The minute your child is born, the parents start to die as you start to live. And mothers, even more so than fathers. And everybody knows the legendary love of mothers, universal love of mothers, that literally they sacrifice their life. They are ready to die to see that no harm comes to their beloved offspring. And that's the reason why you'll find that mothers have a very easy time in attaining the heights of spiritual ma'rifah, because they've spent most of their life bashing their ego in serving their family, serving their children. You could spend the whole life in the masjid doing ibadah. Can you rival the high rank of a mother with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When day to night, when the child sleeps, it wets its bed, she puts the child on the clean part and sleeps in the dirty part herself. She's there before 10 times a night a young child wakes. She's there feeding the child and getting up, serving the men of the household, and then she's got to clean up and prepare food and clean the house. And a woman's service is legendary, and women are truly undervalued. We don't think about the great rank Allah has bestowed upon women in our ummah. Do not lovers sacrifice everything for the object of their love? Don't they sacrifice? They go out of their way. They will suffer harm and hardship to make sure their beloved is safe and sound. These are true life examples. Did not the companions wish for no harm to come to themselves and all safety and peace and salama for Rasulullah? Did they not go out of their way to make sure that no harm or came to Rasulullah? One of the companions said, he goes, by Allah, I would not wish for a pinprick to harm Rasulullah, that we'd wish that it came to us instead. So there are many examples of the companions of Rasulullah doing this as well. So it's certainly doable. Loving ourselves and being selfish makes a person hard-hearted. And when you become hard-hearted, the bouts of caring and loving and selflessness that you see become less and less. You'll find people that are miserly, that are Scrooges, bakhil, that are stingy. It's very hard for them to part with their wealth to see somebody else happy. But they'll make an excuse saying, oh, they're not deserving, or they didn't do anything. And when you say someone's not deserving, you're doing that from a position of hatred. A place of love and compassion would not make you think like that. So that's why sometimes, as part of a mu'min's spiritual journey, it's said to him that part with the things that you love, the clothes that you love, the items that you use, the watches, the rings, the phones, give them away. Every now and then, what's beloved to you, give them away. If you have an item of clothing that you like, give it away to somebody as an expression of love for them and as an expression of selflessness, showing Allah, I'm working on my ego, I'm battering and suppressing my ego. If a society were to all pay tax and give zakat, everybody would be helped, and that society would be more sound, and more wealth spreading out leads to a lack of crime. Today, when especially the businessmen, and the richer the businessmen, the more wormholes they find to worm out of giving zakat. And even general businessmen, everybody knows that businessmen are averse to paying tax, and they find loopholes. And that's the reason why we find problems in society whereby crime rates and everything increases, because there's an unequal distribution of wealth. Had those businessmen cared for the ummah and not wanted to retain what was legally not even yours, zakat is not your money, it's legally the money of the disenfranchised and the impoverished, and the conditions for zakat, as we know. Charity, give your charity, part with something of yourself, and it's a huge burden. It gives you a release, and it gives you a sense of elation, and that's your spiritual growth. One rotten apple in a sack will corrupt everybody, as they say. So that's the reason why we have laws in place that will take zakat from you by force, that will force you to take tax. For certain crimes in society, we're not talking huge punishments, we're talking that the religious law, and indeed even secular law, depending, they will clamp down hard on tax evaders and people like that. Why? Because there's the benefits of just tax are huge. So that's why we have laws in place as well. And there were in the past, and even now, there are anti-sumptuary laws. So for example, in times of hardship, or in poor countries, they lay down laws, like in Pakistan, you can't have a wedding like a princely wedding in a huge hall. Why? Because the rest of the population will see that, and they're poor, and they can never afford to do that, and the country's poor, the times are hard, and you're flaunting your wealth like this. There were sumptuary laws of dress in medieval Europe, where you'll see old pictures from, I think, as late as the 1600s. You'll see pictures of medieval nobles wearing ludicrously long Alibaba style shoes. You can see them in the paintings, and we have authentic shoes like that. And laws were passed, like the end thing that kind of curls, it would be straight, and it would be as long as 30 centimeters, fit for nothing but showing off. Laws were passed to curb those as well after a certain amount of time. Why? Because it was seen as excess. Religious societies would all understand this, and there was no reason to go into excess regarding these things. It's better to give that money away to somebody else. Once the Rasul, some sort of fat person, touched his belly and said that would have looked good on somebody else, i.e. the extra that you ate that gave you that pouch, had you given that food to somebody else, he would have filled out a bit, and you would have been a bit thinner. He would have filled out, and you would have looked better, he would have looked better. So that's the understanding of that's the benefits of this. Most times it's envy of certain shades that stops a person wishing for his brother what he wishes for himself. After all, wasn't it Satan who was the first being that had envy against Allah's ennobled creation, Adam alayhi salam, our father, where Allah ennobled him and told everybody to bow down to him, and Iblis said, no, his haughtiness, his envy, his own pride, and they're all sisters, they go together, these attributes here. Stopped him, said, I'm better than him. So we don't want to be like that, we want to be the opposite of that. And Imam Ghazali has broken down envy into 3 different spheres, and he explains them. He says, number 1, envy, like people, they don't want to wish well for their brother, because number 1, they desire that the blessings for another to be taken from him and to be given to the one. So for example, George sees somebody with a nice car and he is envious. He doesn't want him to have a nice car, so he is envious of him and he wishes destruction. He wishes that person crashes his car. If that person was ever to crash his car, George would be happy inside his heart. He doesn't want Humphrey to prosper from that car. He wishes that he didn't have that car. He wished instead George had that car. That George feels like he's entitled to have that car and he wants that car. The same thing goes for a house. It could go for a beautiful wife. It could go for wealth, status, fame, all of these things. Number 2 is desiring that the blessing be taken away from someone even if one doesn't want it. So George may see somebody with a beautiful palatal home, but that's not a house that George really wants to live in. But George knows that due to that house, he's getting some sort of fame or something. And George doesn't want that. George just doesn't want that guy to go up in life. George wants to be the one that's always up. So these are other reasons that even if you don't want it for yourself, for example, you might see somebody with 100 horses. You don't like horses. You don't want horses. But the fact that he's got horses is a sign that he's prosperous. You don't want him to have that. You just wish destruction for him, or you wish he didn't have that, even if you didn't want it. Number 3 is the person that doesn't have a problem with, for example, if Humphrey has 10 houses, George hasn't got a problem with that. But what George has got is that if only George also had 10. Or George doesn't want him to get fame more than George. Why should Humphrey have more fame? George should still have more fame than Humphrey. So he doesn't wish ill upon his houses, but he wishes ill that the fame, or they should be equal. Like if he's got 10, if I've got 10, then he should not have 11. He should just stay there and I should still be more famous than him. His name shouldn't be above mine. His status shouldn't be above mine. His aristocratic title shouldn't be above mine. I should be the greatest. And whatever anybody else has, fine, as long as George is the greatest. Like that. So number 1, desiring that blessings for another be taken away from him and given to somebody else. Number 2, desiring that the blessings be taken away from someone even if one doesn't want it. Number 3, desiring that a blessing not be taken away, but he wishes that his own rank is greater than him or of equal rank. So it's like 2 scholars. Sometimes you'll see this. If somebody in class, you'll see one student raising a question and the other student gets jealous and he says, now I have to raise that same question to look like I'm equal. So if he raises another question, a point with the teacher, he has to raise another point with the teacher, and so on and so forth. And you'll always see that this competitiveness that goes on. Having competition is not wrong as long as you wish well for the other person and say, well, may the best man win, and then genuinely be happy. And the sportsmanship in that would be, whereas you feel happy that you took part in the sport and the best man won and you all had a laugh about it. But whereas you start to have hasad, envy, malice against that person. And Rasulullah said that nothing takes your good deeds, burns your good deeds as fast as envy and malice. It's like wood on firewood. It's like fire on wood. Burns your good deeds. This also shows dissatisfaction. These 3 rulings show dissatisfaction with the division and decree of Allah. What's for you is never going to miss you. What's not for you is never going to hit you. What's for somebody else? Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, he says that why are you looking at somebody else's property when you have your own share? Be content with your own. If you were content with your own, you would not look nowhere else. So that's a powerful lesson. The best way to feel, if you feel like this, make a dua for the person. Say, oh Allah, give him better than me. Oh Allah, always give him. And then you can say, oh Allah, give me good too, but give him better. Give him better. Like that, you'll always keep yourself one step ahead of the envy that may arouse in you. So always make dua for them. Never say, oh Allah, make me more than him. Make me more than him. Or, you see somebody with something and you feel hasad and you just feel bad for the rest of the day and you don't do nothing. No, make a dua. Step out of this situation. Straight away make a dua. Say, oh Allah, give him more. Oh Allah, give him more. Give me too and give him more. That's to keep yourself safe from this. May Allah save us from envy, from others and from ourselves. And may Allah protect us from the evil eye and make us of those who love for our brothers what we love for ourselves. Wa sallallahu Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sallam.